Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Two Fools and Fantasy Football. I am the Tyler, the uncool fool. And my partner in crime, Marty McFly, is going to be absent for this one, but he'll be with us on the next episode over here of Two Fools and Fantasy Football. Today, we're going to talk about some players. We are going to break them down. We are going to talk about stats and facts. We are also going to talk about the booms and busts for Week 7. First things first, there are 6 teams on a bye week: the Bills, the Vikings, the Jags, the Cowboys, the Chargers, and Steelers. Every single one of those teams has somebody who is going to be in your fantasy lineup or somebody that has some kind of fantasy impact. So this week is a very, very interesting week for the fact that these points are not going to be as high as they've been in the past because you are missing some of your absolute studs. We're going to roll right in to the Thursday night football game here with the Broncos versus the Browns. The boom for this game is going to be the Broncos defense. Everybody and their mother from the Browns is injured right now, whether it be Chubb and Hunt, whether it be the whole offensive line, basically, whether it be Baker Mayfield. This is going to be tough sledding for the Browns. And the bust we have this week, everyone. So just be very cautious when you play any of those offensive players. Maybe the only guy who might be worth playing this week is Courtland Sutton or maybe Noah Fant. The next game we're going to talk about are the Chiefs, the mighty Chiefs against the mighty Titans. So if you watched last Monday night's game, the Titans had an epic comeback led by, of course, Derrick Henry, the best player in the NFL this year so far. And with that being said, the boom this week is going to be Derrick Henry, but there's also a bonus boom in Travis Kelce for the Chiefs. You could probably put Tyreek Hill, Patrick Mahomes. You could probably put a whole lot of guys in here. A.J. Brown possibly too as well. With that being said, on the flip side, the bust this week is going to be Julio Jones for the Tennessee Titans. The reason is because A.J. Brown and Ryan Tannehill have found their connection again. And the Titans are going to want to grind this game. They are not going to want to get in a high-scoring game against the Chiefs. So look for Derrick Henry to have a monster game again. And look for the Titans to have a lot of time of possession this week. The next Sunday game we're going to talk about is the Washington football team versus the Green Bay Packers. This is a pretty easy boom and bust. The boom this week is going to be Mr. Consistency, Devontae Adams, and the bust this week is going to be Antonio Gibson. The reason why Antonio Gibson is going to be a little bit on the bustier side this week is because he's hurt. He's not 100% healthy. So his snap share and his plays are probably going to be limited, to say the least. The next game we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about possibly the game of the week here in the AFC North. It is the Bengals versus the Ravens, the 4-2 Bengals versus the 5-1 Ravens. Both teams are on the up and up, as you would say. The boom this week should be Mark Andrews, the most trusted target for Lamar Jackson. Look for him to keep this continuing hot streak. He had a great game last week. Look for him to just keep rolling in this week. And the bust this week is going to be T. Higgins, actually. Look for him not to have the best game in the world. I would look for Jamar Chase to get a lot of opportunities, a lot of targets this game. So with that being said, T. Higgins is going to be a guy who might not get as many opportunities or balls thrown his way. So look for him to have a little bit of a tough week this week. The next game we're going to roll right into is the Panthers versus the G-Men, the Giants. The boom this week is going to be somebody who is going to get back up on the horse. He did not have the best game last week. It's going to be DJ Moore, wide receiver for the Carolina Panthers. Look for him to have an absolute amazing game this week. And it wouldn't surprise me if he has somewhere around 10 catches, 130 yards, and a couple touchdowns to make up for his lackluster week last week. And the bust is going to be Sterling Shepard, receiver for the New York Giants. The reason is this number one, Kenny Golladay, is going to be out for the Giants. Saquon Barkley is going to be out for the New York Giants. So who are the Panthers going to try to stop? They're going to try to stop Shepard. Last week, they gave Justin Jefferson a little bit of a stop. So look for the Panthers to stop Sterling Shepard this week for the Giants. The next game we're going to talk about is the Atlanta Falcons versus the Miami Dolphins. In case you haven't heard, Deshaun Watson is very close to becoming a Miami Dolphin, which would be great for that franchise because they need somebody to keep up with Josh Allen. So with that being said, and also the next rumor is that Tua Tagovailoa is going to go to the Washington football team, which I think would be a perfect spot for him. And I also think another team to look out for would be the Pittsburgh Steelers, because let's face it, after Big Ben leaves this year, they have no contingency, no backup plan, and honestly, Tua might be an upgrade over Big Ben. So that look for something maybe that to happen too as well. Anyways, back to the game, the Falcons and Dolphins, the boom. This game is going to be Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan has been playing incredibly as of late. He gets his number one receiver back this week in Calvin Ridley. 2 weeks ago, in case you forgot or didn't remember, Calvin Ridley did not make the trip to London because of personal issues, and last week they had a bye week. So look for the Falcons to come out running and gunning this week, especially from a Dolphins team that played in London last weekend. Yeah, baby. And the bust this week is going to be Tua Tagovailoa. It's not that he's going to have a bad game, but it's just going to be really tough coming off that week in London and then flying all the way back to the States, playing the game. It's just going to be a lot. Look for the Falcons to be refreshed. Look for him to get a couple sacks. Look for them to take Tua off his game a little bit. The next game we're going to talk about is the AFC East interdivision matchup with the Jets and the Patriots. The boom this week is going to be Damian Harris, running back for the Patriots. The bust this week is going to be Corey Davis. Look for the Patriots to take with the number one weapon for the New York Jets. The number one weapon for the New York Jets is Corey Davis. Look for him to have a big old duck fart this weekend. The next game we're going to talk about is the Eagles versus the Las Vegas Raiders. And the boom is going to be one of the hottest quarterbacks in the NFL in Derek Carr. And just to let you know, I have a very fascinating stat for you about Derek Carr later in this video, so you'll definitely enjoy that one. And also the bust this week is going to be Jalen Reagor, the first round pick of 2 years ago for the Philadelphia Eagles, who has absolutely done nothing, squat, zero, zilt, shit, nada. So look for him to continue that streak and look for him to be the bust this week, because he is absolutely a full-on 100% two fools in fantasy football, pure bust. So you're welcome. The next game we're going to talk about is the Detroit Lions versus the Los Angeles Rams. This is a revenge game in so many different ways. One thing we will say is that the boom and the bust have nothing to do with the big Matt Stafford and or Jared Goff trade. The boom this week is going to be Darrell Henderson II. The Lions can't stop anybody on defense whatsoever from the running back position. Look for that to continue this week. And the bust this week is going to be Jamal Williams, running back for the Detroit Lions. The game that is going to be the biggest blowout this week is going to be the Chicago Bears versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Look for Tampa to just stomp on them this game. The boom is going to be Antonio Brown. In case you have been living under a rock, Antonio Brown has been the most productive receiver for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers since he's been with the Buccaneers from last year. Tom Brady has his full trust in him. If you watch the game from Thursday night, Tom Brady is constantly looking Antonio Brown's way. Look for him to be a huge factor the rest of the year. Being 33 or 32 or whatever he is still a number one receiver in the NFL. He just has two other number one guys in that offense too as well, if you include Gronk when he's healthy. 3, but right now Antonio Brown is absolutely, as I said, an NBA Jam. He's heating up. And the bust this week is going to be the Bears running back. It doesn't matter who it's going to be. It's going to be the Bears running back. This is going to be a really tough game for Justin Fields. It's going to be a tough game for the Bears. Again, my prediction is the Bucs are going to get out to a 14-21 or 14-0, 21-0 lead in the first quarter. The Bears are probably going to play from behind. This might be a Justin Fields 50 attempt or a 50 times passing per game. So it'll be really interesting on that one. The next game we're going to talk about is another revenge game, the DeAndre Hopkins and J.J. Swat revenge game. As the Texans play the Cardinals. So obviously, revenge game, DeAndre Hopkins left under, shall we say, not the best circumstances. He is going to light up the Texans this weekend. It wouldn't surprise me if he's got 20 catches, 400 yards, and 10 touchdowns. So obviously it's not going to happen, but that's what he's going to want to happen. But yeah, look for him to be the boom this week. And because it's going to be a DeAndre Hopkins showcase this week, look for James Conner to be the bust this week. On the flip side, the Cardinals will still run the ball. They'll still do their thing, but just look for him to pass a little bit more this week. Look for him to target DeAndre Hopkins a little bit more this week than usual. The next game we're going to talk about is the Colts versus my San Francisco 49ers. So with that being said, right now the Niners are playing the second hottest running back in the NFL in Jonathan Taylor. If you watched the game last week at all or 2 weeks ago, the Colts offensive line is coming together. They're looking good. Jonathan Taylor has obviously all the talent in the world. He's had 2 world-class breakaway rushes the last 2 weeks. Look for that to continue. The Niners defense isn't what it used to be by any stretch of the imagination. And also another little revenge game this week too is DeForest Buckner goes back to San Francisco to show his old team why they made a huge mistake in trading him for a 14th pick overall and taking some guy who I won't even say because he's that bad so far. And then the bust this week is going to be Michael Pittman Jr. Again, look for Jonathan Taylor to absolutely smash this weekend against the Niners team, and look for Michael Pittman Jr. to not have as many yards through the air. And don't look for the Colts to pass as much as they did in the previous week. So the Colts are getting to what they're known for. They're going to run the ball. They have I think a top 3 running back in all NFL. That's just my opinion. So anyways, I know that's probably not the most popular opinion, but look at the stats, look what's going on. So it's kind of hard to deny that. And the Monday night game of the week is going to be a doozy with the New Orleans Saints versus the Seattle Seahawks. We are missing a couple big names from this game. Michael Thomas on the Saints side, of course. Danger Russ Wilson on the Seahawks side. So this game doesn't have the Lutz, the glamour, the names that it should have. Unfortunately, that just kind of happens. It's the football. The injuries happen, which sucks, but it is what it is. The boom this week is still going to be Alvin Kamara 41, AK 41. My opinion, my favorite guy to watch in all the NFL. That dude is electric. And the bust this week is going to be DK Metcalf. DK Metcalf is going to have a tough one-on-one matchup with Marshawn Lattimore. So look for him to be stuffed a little bit, stymied a little bit, and plus you don't have the talent level of dangerous Russ Wilson, obviously. So that is going to be a little on the tougher side for them. Those are the booms and the busts this week. Let me know what you think. Let me know if I'm wrong, if I'm right, anywhere in between. Let me know if I'm an idiot. Let me know if I'm not an idiot or whatever. So it's all good. So anyways, so now we're going to do a couple different things. We're going to talk about the running backs this week and the quarterbacks who are top 5 right now in the NFL yards wise. Number 5 is the Dak Prescott from the Dallas Cowboys. He is thrown 1,813 yards so far this year. Number 4 from the LA Rams is Matthew Stafford. He has thrown 1,838. Number 3 is Patrick Mahomes. He's thrown 1,878 yards. Number 2, this is interesting, is Derek Carr. He has thrown for 1,946. So he's had some good yards. He is almost at 2,000 yards for the year. And the only quarterback who has thrown over 2,000 passing yards this year is Tom freaking Brady. He has thrown 2,064 yards through the air so far this year. Now for the running backs, number 5 is Jonathan Taylor. He's had 472 rushing yards so far this year. Number 4 is Joe Mixon, and he has 480 rushing yards this year. Number 3 is Zeke Elliott. He is back, Jack, and he is doing his thing absolutely. Zeke Elliott has 521 rushing yards this year. Number 2 is Nick Chubb. Mr. Chubb has 523 rushing yards this year. And the number 1 running back in all of the NFL is Derrick Henry, and he has 783 freaking rushing yards this year. Holy crap. He's got more. The next closest is Nick Chubb. That is 250 yards of a difference, if my math is correct, which I believe it is. 260. Sorry, my math was off a little bit. So he's got 260 more yards than the next closest person. So, yeah, if he's not in the MVP talking race right now after the first 6 weeks, I don't know who is. That's just absolutely freaking insane. So now we're going to roll into a couple of facts and stats here for you. For if you're doing any kind of fantasy football trades, if you're thinking about trading somebody, just kind of give you a couple of things here for you. There's only 2 running backs right now in the NFL who are averaging over 100 yards per game. Number 1 is Nick Chubb. He's at 105 yards per game that he is averaging when he plays. And the number 1 guy who we just mentioned is Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry is averaging 130 rushing yards a game, which is just incredible. Also, too, with Derrick Henry, he is getting involved in the passing game this year, too, as well. So if you have Derrick Henry right now, you are on cloud 9. You are one of the happiest guys ever. It has been one of the best draft picks this year, if not the best draft pick that you've ever had. This might be the best running back season we've ever seen in fantasy football so far. It might surpass LT's, and when he had 21 rushing touchdowns, because Derrick Henry's already at 10 through 6 weeks, so he still has a long ways to go. So now we're talking about some of the quarterbacks. I gave you the top 5 guys who were passing. Every single one of those guys who I gave you, Prescott, Stafford, Mahomes, Derek Carr, and Tom Brady, averaged 300 yards or more per game. They are the top 5 that are doing that. Just kind of give you a couple of reference. Aaron Rodgers is throwing 240 yards a game. That is good for 24th overall in the NFL. The guys above him, just kind of give you an idea of where Aaron Rodgers is at right now. Mac Jones is above him. Baker Mayfield is above him. Teddy Bridgewater is above him right now. Carson Wentz is above him. Sam Darnold. So just a couple names, just kind of see where you're at, just let you know where you're at fantasy football wise. Aaron Rodgers has not played up to what you would say is his standard this year so far. So 240 yards passing a game is not very high. So right now, if you wanted to buy Rodgers pretty low, wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. And then right now we have three receivers who are averaging over 100 yards a game. The first one we're going to talk about is Cooper Kupp. He was around the 42nd overall pick this year. Cooper Kupp is averaging 108 yards per game. The next guy who is a huge surprise on the list is Deebo Samuel. He is averaging 110 yards per game for the San Francisco 49ers. He was about, I believe, 72, 73. So he was about a 7th or 8th round guy you could have got very easily. And the number 1 guy this year, yards per game, is Davante Adams. Again, this comes no surprise. Davante Adams is averaging 111 yards per game. Aaron Rodgers throwing 240, so you kind of know where everything's going there. So yeah, he's been a great target this year, just in general. A couple other guys who are very notable guys who are up there too. Justin Jefferson averages 90 yards per game. Antonio Brown, big surprise here, probably if you got him. He is averaging 84 yards per game. Another guy who's a big surprise is Mike Williams, who's averaging 83 yards per game. If you got Mike Williams on 10th round, you were sitting really, really good right now. Another 1st or 2nd round pick, Stephon Diggs, is averaging 77 yards per game. Looking down the list here, Mike Evans, 2nd round pick in fantasy football, is averaging 70. Chris Godwin, one of his running mates, is averaging 68 yards per game. Calvin Ridley, another 2nd round pick, is averaging 63 yards per game right now when he does start. Robert Woods, another very high pick, is averaging almost 60 yards a game. So it just kind of shows you that, some of these guys you drafted really high are really disappointing you. The biggest disappointment this year is obviously T. Higgins is one of them. T. Higgins is averaging not even 50 yards a game. The biggest disappointment that we all have, that we had high hopes for, is Allen Robinson. This is really a shocking stat to me. Allen Robinson is averaging 39 yards receiving per game. That is absolutely pathetic, but it goes with exactly what the Chicago Bears are doing. They average 110 yards per game through the air, so it's not really much of a shock that he is that low. And so again, going against Tampa Bay Buccaneers this week, that's kind of where I was going with all this. So just if you have Allen Robinson, if you're owner of him, this week might be one of the rare weeks that you want to play him, just because there's so many damn teams on a freaking bye, man. It's insane. So, and then a couple other guys who've done okay depending on where you've drafted them. Kadarius Toney is averaging 53 yards per game. Jacoby Myers is averaging 58 yards per game. A guy who, to me personally, this is a little bit of a surprise, but Adam Thielen, he's doing better than I thought he was. He is averaging 66 yards a game for the receivers. This guy stands out to me a little bit, as I wasn't expecting to be this high. It's Jerry Jeudy. He's averaging 72 yards per game. Granted, it only being about 1.5 games, but still, it just shows you that when he is in, the Broncos are looking for him. So he is definitely going to be a big, big target when he comes back either this week or next week. So anyways, those are just some facts, some stats. I just kind of want to throw that out there for you. Just kind of let you know where everything is and all that fun stuff. And I'll do one more category here for you. I'll do the tight ends. So we'll just do a couple of the tight ends. So the leading, actually, this is pretty interesting. This is one of the reasons why I gave this guy a boom for the week. Mark Andrews and Travis Kelce are actually tied. They average 78 yards per game for the tight end, which leads them. Kyle Pitts is number 4 at 62 yards a game. Darren Waller is number 3 at 63. So Kyle Pitts and Darren Waller, you're looking at about a 4-round difference, and you're looking at about a yard difference per game. Obviously, Waller's had more touchdowns this year than Pitts. Pitts has only had 1 so far. One of the guys who's been a huge shocker this year is Dalton Schultz for the Dallas Cowboys. He's averaging 60 yards a game. Just kind of like see where the tight ends are. The tight ends is such a freaking wonky position. It's so weird. Logan Thomas, who was a high pick, sixth round here, he's only averaged 29 yards per game. But again, granted, he's been injured. But when he does play, he's not producing a whole lot this year, to be honest with you. You could have gotten guys like a lot later, like Jared Cook, who's averaging 40 yards a game. Max Williams, who's averaging 39. But obviously, that's going to take a different dive now that they have Zach Ertz, where they just got him. Let's see, Noah Fant has gotten 46 yards a game. Dawson Knox, my favorite personal tight end, he's averaging 48 yards a game. George Kittle, who you spent a high 2nd-round pick on, is averaging 57 yards a game. So it just kind of shows you where everything's at. Kind of shows you that, you know, you got to make sure you draft right, because that's a big thing. Dallas Goedert, another high-end draft pick for the Eagles, he's averaging 43 yards a game. So just kind of shows you with the tight end position that you're kind of relying more on the touchdowns than anything else on there for you. There's not too many great, reliable tight ends. If you got Mark Andrews right now in the 5th or 6th round, wherever he went in your draft, you're doing pretty good. You're pretty happy because you got him 5th or 6th, and Travis Kelce, you got the same yards. So that's pretty sweet. So anyways, just wanted to talk to you about that, break some of the stuff down, break some of the stats so you kind of understand where we're coming from, what we're seeing with all that stuff. Hope y'all learned something. Hope this was a great episode. Thank you so much for staying with us. Sorry we were gone last week. You know, personal issues took abundance. So, you know, when that happens, you know, you gotta do what you gotta do. So anyways, hope y'all enjoyed everything. We're gonna do a couple more videos before the end of this week. If you'd like to see anything on the video, please drop a comment, drop a question, anything like that. Anything like for us to cover with stats, facts, game stuff, maybe game scripts, maybe things how we see the games producing and going out too as well. And then maybe, you know, one thing I will say with the Chicago Tampa Bay game, I know I said that's gonna be a blowout, but there might be a lot of garbage time points for Mooney and for possibly Robinson too, if Chicago's just getting blown out of the water. So anyways, thank you guys and girls so much for checking us out. Please like, subscribe, share, add. I am Tyler, the uncool fool, and I am out. And y'all have a wonderful rest of your day. Take care. Bye.